Almost a century ago, there was a company known as Monsanto. It was a chemical company that moved its plant to Anniston, Alabama. They produced a toxic poison known as PCB.
A chemical plant in Anniston was forced to clean up its act several years ago after residents were exposed to high levels of chemicals called PCBs.
Those chemicals have been known to cause cancer, among other problems.
This toxic poison literally poisoned all the rivers, all the lakes, all the streams, and ultimately poisoned all the people. In this city, Anniston, it left it devastated. Many of the people could never get to the age of 50 or 60. One of the rivers that it poisoned was a river that my father would often fish in. And he would bring the fish home and cook the fish, and I would climb up in his lap and I would eat from his plate. My father died at the age of 35. Not many years hence, my mother passed, just barely out of her 50s. All of my father's brothers, all of his sisters, all of my mother's brothers and sisters, they all passed, never ever getting nearly to the age of 50, 55, or 65. Entire generations suffered from this poison. In one particular year, I started noticing I began to gain weight. I got bigger and bigger, and 10 pounds. I put on 30 pounds, 60 pounds, 70 pounds, 100 pounds. Soon, I was 365 pounds. As I gained the weight, I started noticing pains in my hips and in my joints. I started noticing that I would get dizzy in the head, and the only time I would get relief is when I was praying for others in the service. And one evening, I fell out. They called the ambulance. They rushed me to the doctor, and you know that's a frightening experience when you hear that siren and it's passing cars up and you don't know what's going on, and you end up in an emergency room. The doctors and the nurses was running back and forth trying to figure out what's wrong. Why was my blood pressure so high? That went up to over 210, 215, 220. Why is his blood pressure so high? Then they begin to take blood tests, and they begin to say, well, he's borderline diabetic, and he has high blood pressure, and my body was just aching and hurting. And I thought to myself, well, Lord, it's been over 40 years. You've given me a long life. And to me, it was a long life because my cousins were dying at 35 and 40 and 50 and 55 years old. I felt I was blessed. And I was almost ready to accept death. I thought about it. I heard the Lord said, do your first work over again.